how did we get from... I guess I don't even know where it was from. How did we start floating? Where did that all start?
Okay. The basic physical principle, the mathematical principle that drives aerostatic flight, which is lighter than air flight, right? So balloons, dirigibles, airships, that's all aerostatic. The math behind that was actually discovered in ancient Greece, like everything is, with our old friend Archimedes. The whole story of him being stuck on a particularly difficult problem, going to the bathhouse, realizing the result, and then running naked through the streets, screaming, "Eureka, Eureka, I found it." What he discovered was what we now call Archimedes' principle, which is that if you displace a fluid, like water in the case of Archimedes in his bathtub, or air in the case of a lighter-than-air craft, that there is an upward force generated that is equal to the weight of the displaced fluid. So, for example, the average person displaces a certain amount of air, right?
Some of us more than others.
Some of us more than others. The air that you displace, right, is the amount of air that you displace is the amount of upward force that is acting on you at all times, pushing you upward so that the air can get back to where it was.
So now that we have that bit of information, if you take a ton of lead and a ton of feathers and you weigh them, weigh them out, weigh a ton, and you put them in a vacuum chamber, take out all the air. Now which one weighs more, the ton of lead or the ton of feathers?
Oh, I hadn't thought about that, right? That's the question that every middle school science teacher uses to trick their students. Which weighs more, a pound of lead or a pound of feathers? And it's like, they're the exact same. But they're not, are they?
If you weigh them first in the air and then you put them in a vacuum chamber, the feathers were displacing air, so that amount of weight was removed from them.
So you lost all the buoyancy from all the air that the feathers displaced.
So now when you put them in the vacuum chamber, the feathers gain more weight than the lead does. So now
because it was more buoyant.
More.
There you have it, kids. Which weighs more, pound of lead, pound of feathers? Pound of feathers.
Yeah. Or, hang on. Well, that's gonna keep me up at night, actually. But you have buoyant forces acting on you at all times. But for people, it's pretty small. For an average person, you're experiencing a buoyant force from the air around you of about 2.5 ounces. Mm-hmm. So not nearly enough to counteract the weight of your body. 2.5 ounces, by the way, is about half the weight of a baseball or the weight of 3 AA batteries. That's how much the air around you is pushing up while it's trying to take your place.
If you go to a higher altitude, your weight will increase slightly.
Yeah.
Actually,
yes,
increases more than the decrease due to the lower gravity.
Interesting. So yeah, that's the basic principle here, is you are displacing a fluid. The weight of that fluid that you're displacing is trying to get back there and is pushing up on you. So it was actually in 1670 that a monk named Francesco Lana de Terzi had this idea of what if we could take and make a ball and suck all of the air out of it, because vacuums had just been discovered. Not vacuum cleaners, but the actual, what's his name? Gurica? Something. A scientist had discovered that you could pump air out of things and that it would hold stuff together. He discovered vacuum forces. This monk had the idea, what if we could make a whole bunch of great big balls that were just full of nothing? Then the buoyant force from those could pick up and carry a ship. And he actually drew out diagrams and plans to build this ship back in 1670.
Oh, dang.
Because he didn't know that if you made a very thin copper ball and actually pumped all the air out of it, it would collapse.
Yes.
because they weren't actually able to generate very strong vacuums.
We still can't do the whole vacuum idea. That there are
that's
no
still
vacuum
not really
dirigibles.
I am
But-
working on a
and we can talk
vacuum
about
balloon, but I'm going to have to put it in a pressure chamber with a gas probably other than air.
Oh, interesting. It
Okay,
is
never
actually
mind. Cody's working on the vacuum dirigible.
quick sidebar.
Might work on Venus.
There is actually research going on right now about carbon fiber partially evacuated balloons, so that you would get the benefits of buoyant lift, but you would also partially evacuate it to give you even less air on the inside.
Okay, but that's the future.
Yeah.
That's the future.
We're
still
getting
dealing
to
with
that.
the past.
We got to start at the beginning, everybody.